intro music? Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey Star Trek Fleet Commanders, today we're going to talk about intelligence, and you might be going, well, why the heck are we talking about that? Well, as the title says, we're going to talk about that, what it unlocks in research, and the big one being the super highways, which you've probably heard a lot of as you've been going across the galaxy watching other players. And I haven't made a video about this until now because I've been waiting on more players to attain that level range. So actually, on the screen, I'm going to show you where players are as of September. This is my tracking, Chronos tracking, STFC statistics, etc., where you can see that the number of G5 players in the game is right around 24,000, but the number of G4 players who are getting ready to ascend, I'm 46 through 50, that upper end of G4, 29,000. So there's a lot of people getting ready to go G5, but aren't there yet. So hopefully this video helps out not only the people who are in G5, but the people who are about to go to G5. We're going to talk about intelligence and how it works, that you too can unlock super highways, which you see I have one of the researchers here. And how about we just speed that bad boy along? Because what that's going to do is provide you with a mission. But let's see what that looks like. All right, so to start talking about intelligence, let's talk about the events that get you intelligence. Now, I do want to make a quick note that intelligence is not the only new currency you start earning when you go into G5, but it does start at level 51, G5, and this is the big one we're covering today, where there are two different events that pay it out. Number one is going to be Pinnacle of Power material mining. Yes, you will have to mine, and the amount of intelligence that gets paid out here is based on your ops level. So as you can see on this account, I'm getting a little over 7,000. And then just to compare, had Stewie Deuce send me his at ops 57, and you can see it is higher. He's getting about 10,000 at a higher level in G5. So the higher level in G5 you are, the more you can earn. And there's my Pinnacle of Power mining. And then there is a hostile hunt version. So there's two versions of the Pinnacle of Power event. A hostile hunting and a mining version. Now, if it were up to Rev, I would only do hostile hunting, but sadly that's not what is allowed. You've got to do both if you want to get what you need, and don't worry, you're going to need it. So go ahead and jump into that. Make that into a daily thing. It's one of the reasons that I talk about going into G5, you want to get a Nova, like whether that is by paying with it with faction credits, if you're crazy and want to try to grind it out in freebooters, level 53 and above freebooters. Don't do that method, by the way. Just use the faction credits. You'll save yourself a lot of sanity. But it's one of the reasons I got a Nova. Even though my Nova is very low tier, I have not put a lot into the Nova. Here is my Nova right here, tier 2. It is able to handle this no problem, and it only levels up when I get attacked. So intelligence is definitely something to focus on. Now, why do you want it? Well, the truth is you're going to need intelligence to unlock the specific intelligence. I'm not intelligent enough to know. But there are, for each faction, an intelligence turn-in, because these researchers are going to cost basically Federation, Klingon, and Romulan intelligence. So here we are in the Romulan store. Scroll down to the bottom. If you've made it up here, you'll have recognized the spot, RI intelligence. So you need to turn in raw for this. And it simply comes down to basically a 2-to-1 conversion. For every 2 raw, you get 1 intelligence. As you can see by the price of the chest here, 1,000 raw will give you 500 RI in this instance, Romulan intelligence. So 2-to-1 ratio gives you a rough idea of what you're going to need. Now, let's take it a step further, because you can see it's the same for all of these. If I go into Klingon, same thing, which I've actually just did the Klingon for the purpose of this video to show you all the stuff. But there's the Klingon, and then there is a Federation one as well. For those who like to math it out, you actually can track this with Spock's Club. If you've never used Spock's Club, it's an absolutely amazing resource and website. But you can see on my Spock's Club, giving you a rough idea of how much you're going to need. And when it comes to raw, you're going to need about 400,000 raw to be able to progress through and do 1 superhighway run of this intelligence research. So how about we go ahead and take a look at that in the research menu. So real quick, as we get into the research trees, I do need to mention that when we talk about superhighways, well, a lot of people immediately go to the Voyager highways, understandably, because those get accessed earlier. So the Voyager highways are specific to the Voyager part of space, the Dairy Queen part of space, as we call it, DQ, and you would unlock those by the Delta Quadrant Analysis researches. Now, this does not take intelligence, but with this being the earliest version of superhighways you might be familiar with, I figured we should might as well mention them. But that's not what we're talking about today. So we're talking about the ones that you find in the combat tree. So enter back in, and you're going to scroll on down. And what you're going to find is a self-contained area of research that only applies to intelligence. So Right here, you have the superhighways at the end with 4 different runs. You see, I've unlocked the KSG superhighway, so I can show y'all what that is about. And then you have this other section of G5 research, which is just normal G5 stuff. Hey, spend material, spend 4,000 years waiting for it to complete. Now, this part right here is where you're going to want to focus in if you are looking to go after superhighways and you're getting this intelligence anyway, you might as well use it. So you have a few different researches here. Obviously, these superhighways are kind of the big goal at the very end. I would say that, yes, these are definitely worth going after, but they're not as valuable as they were for like our G5 and G6 players who got them when they originally launched, because a lot of warp times have come down with other researches, but they're still good to pick up. But you also have other things here, like for example, the shield mitigation increases base shield mitigation for the first 2 rounds of combat. Very similar to some of the officer abilities we have. Now, again, this is a very small number and only works for a couple of tiers, but as we say on this channel all the time, more is more. So if you can add more to your math, good. And since you have to anyway, what I did with the Klingon set is I did the minimum amount of the researches required just to get the KSG superhighway. So no matter what, you're going to have to do at least this many, which goes back to that Sparks Club reference I showed you, which will actually detail the research that you have to complete and the cost of all the researches to get to the one research you're trying to get to. In this case, the KSG superhighway. But if you also see, we have critical chance reduction, reduces opponent's critical chance for the first 2 rounds of combat. We've got the defensive maneuvers, which is reducing base damage from opponent G5 ships. Again, not that big of a deal, but everything adds up. And then you have the ones right here with critical hit damage getting a boost. You have immortal shield mitigation reduction, which is the opponent's shield mid, kind of nullifying that research you just did right here. Immortal offensive strategies, which are going to give you a base damage increase for all G5 ships. And then last, certainly not least, the Section 31 station damage one, increasing station damage or against ships or against stations rather. Words are so hard. And then you have this superhighway. So after you go through this process, how do you actually unlock the superhighway? Well, you're going to do the research. And then once you complete the research, what's going to happen is you're going to go to your claims chest, and then there's going to be a gift. So claim the gift, gives you a mission, and then you have to go do the mission because of course you do. So here's your commander. I've been analyzing the data we gathered on these new warp paths. It appears that the mass distorting quality of these paths interacts with the subspace bubble formed when we go to warp. Recommend testing this theory further. So we're going to do it. So investigate, and as you see, we have to go to this point, and I'm just going to send this G5 ship, and we'll see you when we get there. All right, so we're here, so let's take a look. Now again, a lot has changed since this, because you see I don't have these unlocked before I made this video. You see my Corvus takes to get into the basic area of this Klingon 5-star D-Space about 3.5 minutes. Back in the day, that used to be in the 10-minute plus range. So we've definitely seen a change without the superhighways, but they do make things even better. So there you go, simple as that. Click, done. We've now unlocked the superhighway, which as you see opens up this short path right here. And to open up all 4 of them so that you can get all the goodies, well, that's just going to take time. So again, roughly 400,000 to get to each separate one. So as you're doing, just make sure you're doing for your dailies to complete this. But you can see my Vorchod now, if it wants to jump over here, does it in a incredibly fast 30 seconds. As far as the Corvus, 1 minute 44. So it cut it in half, right? So it's still a flight time, but much quicker. And with only 1, I now cut the already existing time in half. So there you go. That is why intelligence matters in this game. It's why you should look forward to it, know it's coming. I knew it was coming in G5 and immediately had everything ready. One of the reasons I wanted the Nova as soon as I got into G5 so I could start working on that. And these are just the little tips and tricks that you need to get going. So again, that's where you use intelligence in the combat tree. As I said at the beginning of this video, there is another particle you earn. You actually earn it here by going through all these different dailies. So you click all these and they have rewards, but you'll find there's another reward inside the cosmic particles. This one is for a different part of the research section, not in combat. You'll notice that there's some in combat station and galaxy, Rhodinium, cosmic particles, and intelligence. Obviously, Rhodinium you can start earning earlier than G5, but we'll cover that in a different video. If this video helps you out and you enjoy the information in it, do something real simple for me, ladies and gentlemen. Like the video. Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, share this out with your friends and family. And as always, trying to give you videos that pertain to you, wherever you're at, no matter what level, and hopefully help you out. Love you, appreciate every single one of you. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with their space cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next Star Trek Fleet Command video, and I'm out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.